am most likely skipping the 1.2 resonators on Wuthering Waves. I know, right? Let me explain. So, Jiji just released, and my, she is an absolute menace of a resonator. Let's be real here. Now, following that up, we got a little bit of a sneak peek as well of what Xiangli's gameplay is going to be about. Overall, both designs of Jiji and Xiangli are actually very unique and well made. The problem lies in the drip marketing for the two new resonators we got leaked by Wuthering Waves. We can also say as well that most of the resonators in Wuthering Waves in general are actually pretty good looking, to be fair. Even the 4-star resonators of the game have their own pizzazz and are pretty well designed characters as a whole. The only resonator that I do not like design wise is Verena. I'm just gonna have to be honest. I just really dislike Verena's design, but at least they changed it up from the way it looked in the first closed beta, because it was a disaster when they first showed us what they had in store for her. So our two new resonators coming in update 1.2 of Wuthering Waves are Xiangli Yao and Jiji. This, by the way, is how I'm going to be pronouncing the names, because I do not have any idea on how to say these names. If someone wants to be a saint and sound it out for me in the comment section below, that would be great, because I'm really struggling here, I'm not gonna lie. Now back to the topic on hand of the character designs. There has been lots of commotion that the character designs of the new resonators actually blow. And what is the word that people are using? Lackluster? Which in short term means that these resonators look like they're mid according to the community. And I've seen a lot about them, like people actually completely bashing the design on them. Now for me personally, the twin hair resonator Jiji looks pretty cool. With that said, I really like that Kuro Games is really pushing for diversity as far as the design looks with our characters on this game. The colors on Jiji are actually looking pretty cool as well, as they push for a cyan and turquoise type blue color. Jiji also really looks a lot like the female Harry Potter, if I'm gonna be honest. Am I the only one that actually sees that? Because I swear she really does. Like, just look at her. Tell me she does not look like a female Harry Potter. I assume she's going to be some type of painter, considering her quote as "can I paint you?" She also may seem like a shy type personality. I mean, this is what they're kind of hinting at, if I'm gonna be honest. All in all, I assume she's going to be in the support role. This is also just an educated guess, a simple prediction. Not that I really feel like I'm really good at these things when it comes to education, but we'll go with it. I really just can't see Jiji being anything else based off her personality, and I'll be real here, the shy types when it comes to these games are usually in the support role, or if you watch anime, you kind of know this as well. As I was just saying, I really think she is going to be a support resonator that does some sort of heal, since we only got two in the game currently that are Baija and Verena. And Verena is really good, as we already know, and Baija becomes really good at like sequence 5, I believe it is, when you are able to revive a whole entire dead teammate. So with these being our two main support resonators, I think it's time for another one. I mean, you could also use Jiang Sheng, but I don't think she's really quite as good as Baija and Verena in the support role. So we are definitely waiting for another main support resonator. As far as the element goes, I have no idea, to be honest, but based on the limited characters that we got so far and their elements, we already got Spectro, which is Jinshi, Xiangli, who is Fusion, Electro, which is Yanlin, and Jian, who is Arrow. So based off those characters, I would assume we'd be getting a 5-star Glacio. And if we look at her colors, she kind of makes up the colors of maybe Arrow, but something about like paint and it being like a form of liquid is just pushing me to Glacio. Also, just to remind you guys, I also just want to let you guys know I am not going to be promoting leaks or looking at leaks when I make these videos. These are just pure educated guesses. So moving on, I would also just like to remind you guys we have a 5-star resonator for all element categories besides Havoc and Glacio. Now that's of course if we're assuming that Havoc Rover as a 5-star resonator at the end of 1.0 when you complete the main story doesn't count. We can also take into consideration the fact that she does not feel like a Havoc resonator personality wise from what we get in her quote. Circling back to Jiji's quote and how she's being portrayed as a shy type, it just doesn't feel like it's going to be the Havoc feel, so we can cross that out. So I am just going to hold to my educated guess that she is going to be Glacio. Not Arrow, despite her colors looking like Arrow, but Glacio. Because we already did get Jian, and she's using a paintbrush like I said before, and I just really think it's going to be Glacio. So our Harry Potter water female lookalike is definitely going to be that element. This is my final answer. However, for me personally, I will not be pulling for Jiji unless she is support, because I do not have much duplicates of Baja, and because I am a moron when it came to my free 5-star selector and my free novice banner selector. I did not pick Verena or end up with Verena. Way to brick in my account early, am I right? Did any of you guys also do this and not pick Verena? Am I the only one? Because I swear I'm the only one. Now, with that said, I'm not gonna lie, I actually really do like the design of Jiji, but I do not hate it nor love it. Loving the design is like designs like Yinlin, Xiangli, Jinshi, you know, spice. They got spice, class, but I'm just not feeling it from Jiji. Now, overall, I really think Kuro Games set the bar high for future Resonators that are releasing because of how good they started off with the character designs to begin with. With that said, Jiji does feel like she falls behind what we have been given so far as the Resonators before her, but I feel also, in my opinion, it's not as bad as what people are making it out to be. To be honest, she's really not the best, but she's also not the worst. I personally really like her design way more than Verena's, and a couple other Resonators to be fair, but also I'm biased because I really dislike Verena's design, as you can tell. Moving on to our next 1.2 Resonator, Xiangli Yao. Now, I'm gonna be honest, like I have been. I can see the direction they were going with this Resonator. I think the concept is actually very cool. Looks wise, he has robotic type arms from maybe some type of freak accident or something. I'm not really good with lore, but I feel like he would have an interesting story. I will say, if we're comparing him to our last limited male Resonator Jian, he kind of does fall a little bit behind. Jian just looks like a menace compared to Xiangli Yao. Let's be real here. I would say something that's actually pretty cool about him, or at least the one thing I find cool besides his robotic arm, is a Resonator mark on his upper arm. I wonder if in game it will glow white like that. That would actually be super dope. Besides those 2 points, I don't really feel like he looks really appealing aside from all that. The other male Resonators in Wuthering Waves just look way better than he does. For example, I actually truly love the design that they did with Ling Yang, despite the fact that he was a disaster of a character gameplay wise. Of course, when the game fully released, because I personally enjoyed him in the closed beta too. I really thought he was going to be one of the best, but he ended up not being that. Moving on, Mortefi looks absolutely amazing as well, with the scales taking over his body and having a whole dragon arm as well. Then we compare it to Xiangli Yao, who only really has a robotic arm, and despite that being cool looking and all, I feel like we really could have done better with his design. Now, as I mentioned before, we are still waiting for our second Glacio and Havoc 5-star Resonator. Now, if Jiji is going to be the Glacio Resonator, that kind of knocks one out of the park. Now that I am thinking about it as well, I am not actually sure if these Resonators are 5-star to begin with. But anyways, Xiangli Yao looks like he's going to be an Electro because of the purple in his design, but we cannot be too sure. Considering the fact that we already got Yinlin as our second 5-star Resonator who is Electro, maybe doing all this breakdown prediction is useless. I will honestly be super surprised if we get another Electro limited Resonator. With that said, I'm also really quite shocked that our 1.2 Resonators aren't someone along the lines of maybe Camellia or Scar, considering the fact that we got introduced to these characters in 1.0 of Wuthering Waves. And I am going to be very honest, I really want Camellia to be a playable Resonator, because the glimpse of what we got in the cutscene of where you pin her down as Rover was absolutely amazing, and we got a little bit of look of what she can do. So I really hope that Camellia gets a lot more screen time in the future events of Wuthering Waves, so then that way we can see more of what she can do, because she seems really powerful. Now, we have no idea when we may see some more Resonators that we have seen in the main story quest of the game be released as playable characters within the game. As much as I really want to see Camellia be released, this is the harsh truth. Camellia and Scar not being released could also have something to do with them not being Rover's main allies, but this is just a hypothesis. Maybe we will see more of the characters we are familiar with in Wuthering Waves 1.3. I would also like to make a fair point that it's okay to judge the design of the Resonators that are coming out in update 1.2, but what we should not do is completely skip over them before the release of their kits and gameplay. I mean, who knows, right? These next 2 Resonators could actually be extremely powerful despite the fact that we have not seen them at all in game yet. It is like judging a book by its cover. Everyone can claim the design is indeed mid or trashy looking, but if the new Resonators are actually very valuable, it may be worth not skipping. You never know till we get to test the characters coming out within this game, especially a game like Wuthering Waves where the team compositions are very important. It is not just about the Resonator themselves, but also about what the Resonator can bring to the table as far as abilities and value goes. Overall, it is just not fair to deem a Resonator completely a skip when they have not fully released yet. Honestly, with a bunch of other gacha games, we have seen this time and time again. A character gets drip marketed by the game devs, games, players go, that character is going to be trash. Then when the character releases, they end up being super good or at the top of most tier lists. Moving on to the final part, we should most likely be getting Xiangli's Resonator story in 1.2, when Xiangli fully drops and is playable for everyone, which is going to be a fire story if Kuro Games keeps cooking on the stories like they have been recently. Yinlin's Resonator story, when that released, was a step in the right direction. I really enjoyed it and feel like they improved their story for the better when they wrote hers. Jinshi's story as well was really good as well, by far my favorite one on Wuthering Waves to date. Well, that's all I have for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy the video, please smash the subscribe button so you can find your way back to my channel. Make sure while you guys are down there to join the community Discord and comment your thoughts. That's all I have for today, guys. Peace.